Welcome back to Jersey Matters. Is New Jersey in the middle of a persistent housing crisis? To talk about that is Wayne Meyer, who is the president of New Jersey Community Capital. Before we get to the question I just posed, what is New Jersey Community Capital?
First of all, Larry, thank you for inviting me today. It's a pleasure to be here. So New Jersey Community Capital is a 30-year-old nonprofit community development financial institution that looks to provide affordable and responsible lending for housing, for educational opportunities, for economic development in New Jersey's lower income communities. And
we're going to deal with just housing today. And I was interested because whoever your communication person is did their job and sent suggested questions.
Okay.
And I'm looking through the suggested questions, and one of them said, why is the housing crisis so persistent in New Jersey? Which led me to another question. Are we in a housing crisis in New Jersey?
Yes, I still think
isn't a strong term?
No, I don't think so, Larry. You know, I think that the New Jersey housing market at this point in time marches it to a beat of its own drum at this point. And I think there are really 5 statistics that, if I could just briefly overview, that I think would be helpful to frame the crisis. The first is affordability. New Jersey is the 6th highest housing cost state in the country. Roughly 40% of New Jersey households have difficulty making ends meet, and it's mostly around housing. We have a lack of affordable housing in the state. Roughly about 150,000 units of affordable housing need to be built. So that's number one. Affordability is a key issue.
You can go through the 5, but let me stop you on each one. When you talk about people that are now have houses or have a hard time making ends meet,
Correct.
Is that right?
Yes.
But you're buying a house at a certain price that you should be able to afford. Is the affordability of that because of the property tax?
I think that's absolutely the property taxes, but also there's a lot of renters, right? So there's a big rental community in New Jersey, especially in our urban markets. And a lot of the cities in New Jersey, roughly, the homeownership rate's roughly about 30%, so 70% are renters. But you're right, the property tax burden does add a significant cost to owning a home in New Jersey.
Yeah, you brought up something, and we'll get to number 2 in a second, but you brought up something when you talk about house ownership. That used to be the dream of every American,
Correct.
And it's out of reach for a lot of Americans, and that's why all of a sudden there are many more renters in New Jersey than there have been in recent years.
Yeah, and actually probably one of the other indicators are the New Jersey home ownership rate, right? 10 years ago, it used to be 72% overall statewide. Right now, it's roughly about 64%. So if you think about that, there's 300,000 residential structures in New Jersey, and if 8% of them now are not home ownership, they're rental, you're talking about literally tens of thousands of single-family, 1 to 4 family homes that are no longer home ownership, that are in a rental market. And that's a significant issue, but also potentially an opportunity.
And I have to stop interrupting you, because if we don't get through the next 4 real quickly, I will never get to some of the solutions. Go ahead.
Okay, so number 3 is, of course, foreclosures. New Jersey, even though overall the picture is improving, is still number 1 in the country in the rate of foreclosure. Over 2% of our houses are in foreclosure. Last year, 35,000 homes in New Jersey entered into the foreclosure crisis. Number 3 is, as I mentioned, the home ownership rate, which is the decline in the home ownership rate. Number 4 is evictions. Last year in New Jersey, there were 160,000 people evicted from their homes. From their tenants or from their homes.
And we don't have a lot of time left, and we have to get to the solutions.
Yeah.
How do you propose to fix this?
And I think there's a couple of things. The first is obviously acknowledging that there's a crisis and developing a whole housing policy and a housing plan around doing that. And appointing people at a senior level in state government that really focus on developing the housing solutions. Number 2 is protecting some of the funding around housing that exists in New Jersey. For example, the Special Needs Housing Trust Fund and the Balanced Housing Fund, which is really designed to develop affordable housing in this state. The second is around how do we incentivize housing production in New Jersey? And there's a number of ways to do that, including, expanding the neighborhood revitalization tax credit program, and incentivizing inclusionary zoning in the state of New Jersey, and actually trying to streamline some of the housing programs that exist in the state right now.
This all sounds expensive.
It's almost, you cannot afford not to do it. In some respects, let me say, for example, around evictions, right? In the cost of what to families and to the state on things like evictions. If you don't develop solutions to help to do that, actually costs more money to house people in homeless situations, the cost of that. So it's almost like, and if you're going to think about New Jersey being a state that is fair and equitable, people need a decent place to live. It's, you know, you can't have one without the other.
Now, you were on the governor's transition team when it came to housing, right?
I was.
And was he receptive to these ideas?
Yes, he was. I mean, so like if you think about funding of housing programs in New Jersey over these, you know, these last 10 years, back around 2006, we dedicated roughly about $250 million to housing programs in New Jersey. Now it's roughly about $50 million. We're calling for an investment of over $600 million to help, you know, prime the pump to develop a lot of these housing solutions.
We don't only have a housing crisis, we have a budget crisis. Where does $600 million come from?
Well, there's, I think, a number of ways to do that. One is, for example, New Jersey sat out of a lot of these mortgage settlements that the banks had with a lot of the states. For example, in New York, they've been able to access Department of Justice settlement money, and we've calculated that roughly $600 million would be made available to New Jersey if they were able to go out and get some of this.
So it would pay for itself if they were to take a comprehensive approach to dealing with the housing crisis and were in on the mortgage settlements, it would pay to help fix the housing crisis.
That's right. That's right.
Wonderful. Good luck to you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. Please come back and let us know,
you.
especially if these proposals move along.
Thank you, Larry.
Wayne Meyer is the president of New Jersey Community Capital. When Jersey Matters continues, a new movement to make Jersey roads safer for all New Jerseyans, whether you're in a car, on a bike, or on your own 2 feet. That's next.